My father's voice cut across the room like a knife. We already divided everything. Their eyes swept over me as if I was some wandering beggar who'd stumbled in off the street, not their own flesh and blood. No seat for me at the long oak table. No welcome in their cold smiles. People know me as Danielle. And from wherever you're watching this, stay with me. Have you ever felt like you were written out of your own family story? The lawyer coughed, shuffling a stack of papers, uneasy. I'm sorry, he said, voice trembling, but there's an issue. Dad's lip curled, annoyed. What issue? The lawyer cleared his throat again, his eyes darting toward me. Her name, he stammered, pointing at me with a shaking hand, is the only one on the will. It was like a grenade went off in the room. My mother's face went pale, mouth snapping shut, so fast I thought she might bite through her tongue. My brother's hands clenched, knuckles white. My sister froze mid-sip, wine glass tipping dangerously in her grip. Dad's voice dropped to a hiss. That's impossible. The lawyer pushed his glasses higher on his nose. It's very clear, he said. Everything, the house, the accounts, the land, is left to Danielle. I felt the air shift around me, thick and poisoned. For a moment, a flicker of relief rose in my chest, until I saw the way Dad looked at me, like I'd personally betrayed him just by existing. You weren't invited for a reason, he spat, eyes burning with something almost inhuman. I swallowed, steadying my voice. Why? My sister slammed her glass down, red splashing across white linen. You don't deserve it, Danielle, she snapped. Grandpa meant to give it to us. I shook my head, my heart hammering so hard I thought it might break through my ribs. That's not what he wrote, I said. That's not what he wanted. Dad stood, hands trembling, barely holding back rage. You're making a mistake coming here, he growled. But I wasn't backing down. Not this time. I straightened my shoulders, planting my feet on the floor like roots. If they thought I was leaving empty-handed, they had another thing coming. A shiver ran down my spine as the lawyer slid the papers closer to me, eyes full of dread. And before anyone else could speak, my sister threw her napkin down and started to rise. My sister practically lunged across the table, her voice rising with a shrill panic that made the chandelier tremble. You can't just show up after everything, she shouted, eyes wild. You think you're owed this? I stayed perfectly still, letting her words wash over me like stale rain. It's not about what I'm owed, I told her, voice even. It's about what Grandpa decided. She let out a harsh laugh. Grandpa was senile, Danielle. He didn't know what he was signing. The lawyer flinched. That's not correct, he stammered. I met with him personally many times. His mind was sound. My mother's icy voice sliced through the chaos. You shouldn't even be here, she hissed. We made sure you wouldn't find out about the reading. I blinked, feeling the poison of those words settle in my bones. You hid it from me? Dad didn't flinch. Of course we did, he said. You're a disappointment. You always were. Something in my chest burned, then went cold. And you thought stealing my inheritance would fix that? He slammed a hand against the table so hard the wine glasses rattled. You don't deserve that money. I looked at the papers the lawyer had laid out, my name printed clearly, undeniable. I do, I said quietly, because Grandpa knew the truth. Tom, my brother, finally spoke up, voice dripping with disgust. You really think you can just take the house? The land? After we took care of everything while you ran away? My jaw tightened. I didn't run, I snapped. I escaped. His face flushed crimson, like I'd slapped him. You'll regret this. I stood, gathering the papers into my bag with shaking hands. No, I said, steady now. For once, I won't. My sister pounded the table again, splintering the wood. You're going to destroy this family, Danielle. I felt something twist behind my ribs, regret, maybe. But then I remembered every night they locked me out, every day they turned their backs, every moment they reminded me I was less. Maybe this family needs to be destroyed, I whispered. The lawyer cleared his throat, afraid to meet anyone's eyes. Danielle, you need to sign to confirm acceptance. I nodded, pen in hand, a weight lifting off me as the ink touched the paper. And just as I drew the final curve of my name, Dad's voice came crashing back. Put the pen down, Dad barked, the words landing like a gunshot. His voice was shaking, with rage, with fear, maybe with the final realization that he couldn't control me anymore. I set the pen down anyway, slowly, deliberately, then looked him dead in the eye. Why? I asked. So you can steal it? His jaw clenched, a muscle ticking in his cheek. You don't understand what you're doing, he spat. My sister shoved her chair back so violently it nearly toppled. Danielle, think about what you're doing, she pleaded. If you take this money, you ruin everything. I raised an eyebrow. Everything you built on a lie? She hesitated, her face twisting. We deserve it more than you, she choked. We stayed. We obeyed. You left. I let out a bitter laugh. I survived. I corrected her. That's different. Mom slammed her napkin on the table, her voice dropping to a low, poisonous hiss. Don't you dare talk about surviving. You wouldn't even have a roof if it wasn't for us. I stared at her, my pulse steady as a war drum. That roof had holes you never bothered to fix. I shot back. Don't pretend you saved me. The lawyer shifted in his chair, clearly wishing he could melt through the floor. Legally, the will is final, he stammered. I have to file it today. Tom growled. If you do, you're siding with her. The lawyer swallowed hard. I'm just doing my job. Dad stood up, towering over the table. If you walk out of here with those papers, he said, voice shaking, you will never set foot in this family again. My throat tightened, the old wound of being unloved threatening to reopen. But then I remembered Grandpa's letter, his scrawled words telling me I was the only one who ever saw him. I already lost this family, I said, each word measured. I don't need to lose myself, too. Tom's chair crashed to the floor as he lunged toward me, eyes wild. But the lawyer jumped between us, voice trembling. Don't, he warned. You'll regret it. Tom froze, breathing hard, his fists clenched. I picked up the signed document and folded it carefully, the paper warm against my skin like a living heartbeat. No one was taking this away from me, not again. Just as I turned for the door, Mom's voice cracked behind me. Mom's voice ripped through me, sharp as broken glass. I turned, hand on the doorknob, heart thundering against my ribs. She stood there trembling, mascara smudged, clinging to the table like it was the only thing keeping her upright. If you do this, she rasped, you will destroy this family. I let the weight of her words sink in, then shook my head. No, Mom, I said, voice quiet but ironclad. You destroyed it the day you decided I wasn't part of it. Her face crumpled, rage and grief dancing together. We raised you, she cried. We fed you, clothed you. How can you turn your back on us? My throat burned with the memory of cold dinners alone, birthdays forgotten, tears wiped away in silence. You raised me to survive you, I told her, steady. And now I'm finally free. Tom stalked forward, still seething. You're nothing without us, he snarled. No one will stand with you once they see what you've done. I squared my shoulders, breathing through the sting. I'd rather stand alone than be your puppet, I fired back. The lawyer tried to cut the tension, his voice barely more than a squeak. Danielle, if you want me to file this, I'll escort you to the courthouse myself, he offered. My sister let out a strangled sob. Please, she begged, don't take everything. We'll have nothing. I swallowed the guilt like a bitter pill. I had nothing for years, I reminded her. And none of you cared. Mom stepped forward again, her hand shaking as she reached for mine. Danielle, sweetheart, you don't understand. I pulled away. No, I interrupted. You don't understand. You raised me in your shadows and called it love. You made me believe I was small. I'm done playing that part. A hush fell so deep it hurt my ears. I turned the doorknob, tasting freedom at last, when Dad's voice thundered one more time. Walk out, and you're dead to us. I paused, let the ache settle, then turned back with a calm that surprised even me. "Then consider me reborn," I said, stepping through the doorway without looking back. As the door clicked shut behind me, I heard a crash inside, like the past finally breaking. The courthouse steps burned beneath my feet, sunlight glaring off the white stone as I gripped the file folder so tight my knuckles ached. Each step felt like shedding 1,000 pounds of shame. The lawyer walked next to me, trying to keep up, breathing hard. "You okay?" he asked, cautious. I nodded, though a tremor ran through me. "I will be," I said, voice steadier than I felt. We stepped inside, the blast of cold air making me shiver. It smelled like stale coffee and paperwork and a strange kind of hope. As we reached the clerk's window, my phone vibrated again and again in my pocket. I didn't have to look to know it was them, Tom, Mom, Dad. I ignored it. The clerk, a tired woman in thick glasses, glanced up. "What can I help you with?" My throat went dry, but I managed. "I need to file this will." The lawyer gave her the paperwork, hand steady now. "Everything is correct. All signatures are final." The clerk flipped through the pages, scanning, then nodded. "Looks clean," she confirmed. "It will be processed today." A breath whooshed from my lungs, relief, terror, all tangled together. The lawyer turned to me, offering a small, reassuring smile. "You did it," he said. "It's yours." Yours. That word sank into my bones, so unfamiliar it almost hurt. Mine. My future. My freedom. For a second, a wave of sadness crashed through me. I could still hear my mother's voice, that poison sweetness, trying to pull me back. I could see my sister's tears. But then I remembered the way they'd left me out, the years of closed doors and cold shoulders, and I knew this was the only path left. The lawyer handed me a receipt, stamped and sealed. "Congratulations, Danielle," he said. "Your grandfather would be proud." I smiled, tears finally spilling down my cheeks, unstoppable. "Thank you," I whispered. Outside, the wind felt cleaner somehow, brushing against my skin like a blessing. As I stepped down those courthouse stairs, a text lit up on my phone from Tom. "You'll regret this." I wiped my face, heart pounding, and typed back only 2 words. "Watch me." And with that, I walked toward a future that was finally mine, leaving their poison behind for good. The ride back to the house felt like a dream I'd never dared to have, the world outside passing in colors so bright they almost hurt. My hands rested on the folder in my lap, the lawyer's stamped receipt still tucked inside. Every mile away from them felt like peeling off another layer of suffocation. As I pulled into the driveway of my house, the house they had tried to erase me from, I saw the front steps, the same cracked tiles Grandpa used to complain about, and I felt something shift in my chest. Home. I stepped out, keys trembling in my hand, breathing in the quiet. No yelling, no shame, no heavy air, just a silence, so wide it felt like forgiveness. I unlocked the door, stepping inside. The place was exactly how I remembered it. The faint smell of old wood, the framed photos on the hall table, the echo of memories that had never quite been mine to keep. Until now. I walked through each room slowly, letting the truth sink into my bones. "This is yours, Danielle. No one can take it away." My phone buzzed again. I hesitated, then looked. A voicemail from Mom. I pressed play, her voice breaking, almost unrecognizable. "Danielle, please. Think about what you're doing. You're tearing the family apart. We can still fix this. Call me." I closed my eyes, letting the guilt stab at me one last time, then letting it go. There was no fixing what they'd already broken. I wandered into the kitchen, laying my folder on the counter, fingers brushing the grainy wood of the cabinets. I could still see Grandpa making tea there, humming off-key. For the first time in years, my shoulders relaxed. No one was coming to lock me out. No one was coming to tell me I wasn't welcome. No one was coming to decide my worth. I poured myself a glass of water, and as I stood there, the house seemed to breathe with me, a living, forgiving thing. Maybe this was the first day of my real life. Outside, the sun dipped behind the trees, casting long golden shadows across the porch. And somewhere in that silence, I let myself believe I could be happy here. That night, the house felt impossibly quiet, the kind of silence that stings your ears when you've lived with chaos too long. I moved from room to room, checking every corner like a soldier on patrol, as if they might come bursting through the door to steal it back. But no one came. In Grandpa's old bedroom, I found the small oak box he used to keep on his dresser. My hands trembled as I opened it, half expecting to find it empty. But there it was, a faded family photo. Me, maybe 8 years old, clinging to Grandpa's side with the biggest grin, while the rest of them looked away. I traced my tiny smile with a fingertip, my heart twisting. He'd known. Even then, he'd known I was alone in a crowded house. I sank down onto the bed, letting the exhaustion hit me like a wave. The clock ticked on the nightstand, steady and calm, not screaming, not accusing, just letting time pass.
My phone buzzed again.
Another message from Tom. Come back. We can make a deal. I laughed, a sound so sharp it surprised me. A deal? After they tried to erase me? After they'd left me starving for love for years? I typed back with hands that no longer shook. No deals. No more. Then I turned off the phone completely, letting the silence wrap around me like a warm blanket. Outside, the wind rattled the old shutters, but the house stood strong, refusing to fall. So would I. I closed my eyes and let myself dream, really dream, for the first time in years, about painting the porch, planting flowers out front, cooking a meal that didn't taste like pity. Tomorrow, I would go through the documents again, call the bank, change every lock, make this place safe, truly mine. No one would ever take it away. And for the first time, I realized I wasn't afraid of what came next. I was ready to build a life that no one could rewrite, no matter how many times they tried. Outside, the stars blinked through the night sky, quiet witnesses to my freedom. And in that gentle darkness, I found peace. The next morning felt like a rebirth. I woke up with the sunlight spilling through Grandpa's old curtains, warming my face in a way I'd almost forgotten. There was no shouting, no guilt dripping through the walls, just the soft creak of floorboards beneath my feet. I padded down the hallway, still half in a dream, and stepped onto the porch. The air was sharp and clean, carrying the promise of something better. My phone stayed shut off on the kitchen counter. I refused to let their poison follow me into this new day. Instead, I sat on the porch swing, looking over the yard I'd once believed I'd never see again. For a moment, I let myself remember it all. The cruel words, the cold shoulders, the quiet tears no one ever noticed. Then I let those memories go. Grandpa had trusted me with this place because he'd seen something they refused to see. My heart, my strength, my ability to build something whole out of all their brokenness. And I would honor him, not with revenge, but with peace. I'd paint these walls in colors I chose. I'd fill these rooms with laughter I could believe in. I'd sleep under this roof, knowing no one could ever push me out again. If they came back for me, I'd stand tall. If they tried to steal from me again, I'd fight. But I wouldn't let them shrink me anymore. This was my beginning. My chance to write the ending they'd never allow me to have. For the first time, I wanted to live, really live, without apology. I looked up at the sky, whispered a quiet thank you to Grandpa, and let a smile stretch across my face. This was mine. This was enough. And nothing, no family, no past, no poison, would ever strip it away again.